This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Oil prices edged up in Asian trade on Wednesday after falling for 3 consecutive sessions as a U.S. trade deal with Japan signaled progress on tariffs, though gains were capped by fading hopes for a breakthrough at an EU-China summit. Brent crude futures rose 21 cents, or 0.31%, to $68.80 a barrel by 0351 GMT. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures gained 17 cents, or 0.26%, at $65.48 per barrel. Both benchmarks were down about 1% in the previous session after the EU said it was considering countermeasures against U.S. tariffs, as hope faded for a deal ahead of an August 1st deadline.
U.S. gasoline prices could fall below $3 a gallon this summer for the first time in over 4 years as a stretch of bad weather events dampens fuel demand and a jump in imports fills inventories. Gasoline prices have been in a lull in recent months, a boon for Americans traveling this summer. Consumers endured record prices at the pumps after Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine upended energy markets. Gasoline prices fell 8.3% over the 12-month period ended June, the latest Consumer Price Index report showed, as U.S. crude prices tumbled more than 20% amid concerns over lackluster demand and a trade war with China.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
U.S. President Donald Trump said on Tuesday that Japan will form a joint venture to develop a liquefied natural gas project in Alaska, though a Japanese government official said he was not aware of such plans. It was not immediately clear whether Trump was referring specifically to the proposed $44 billion Alaska LNG project. That project would consist of an 800-mile, 1,300-kilometer pipeline carrying gas to a planned liquefaction plant for export. Trump's announcement of the venture came in comments to lawmakers at the White House where he discussed his trade deal with Japan.
China warned on Wednesday against the risk of power supply disruptions as people struggled to keep cool in record heat, baking large swaths of the country, which also spurred warnings to the elderly to guard against heat stroke. Power supply suffers while demand surges, exceeding 1.5 billion kilowatts for the first time last week, energy officials said, in a third new record for China this month, when its first nationwide alert on heat-related health risks also went out. High-temperature weather will have an impact on power generation and supply, weather official Chen Wei told a press conference on Wednesday, adding that it would hit hydropower output and reduce the efficiency of photovoltaic generation. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Copper prices touched their highest in over 2 weeks on Wednesday as a U.S.-Japan trade deal boosted sentiment, although gains were capped over concern about surpluses and rising inventories. 3-month copper on the London Metal Exchange was up 0.2% at $9,934 at 0945 GMT, its strongest since July 4. Copper has gained about 4% over the past week and is approaching its 3-month peak of $10,020.50 hit on July 2. Sentiment was boosted after U.S. President Donald Trump struck a trade deal with Japan, lifting global share markets.
Coking coal futures prices in China soared on Wednesday as a government inspection on coal mine production sparked concerns of supply disruptions. The most active coking coal contract on the Dalian Commodity Exchange closed daytime trade 11% higher, hitting the upper limit for a third straight session and also touching its highest since February 21. Coke climbed 3.83%. The continued price rally came after state media confirmed the veracity of government documents calling for inspections on 8 major coal production hubs.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
India's rice stocks in government warehouses rose 15% from a year ago to a record high for the start of July, while wheat stocks reached a 4-year peak driven by increased farmer procurement, official data showed on Tuesday. Record rice stocks will help the world's biggest exporter increase shipments, while an improvement in wheat inventories will help the federal government to tame any price spikes later this year by increasing open market sales. State reserves of rice, including unmilled paddy, totaled a record 55.66 million metric tons as of July 1, far exceeding the government's target of 13.5 million tons for July 1.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.